Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm still recovering from that vicious interview I've just had, but pretty excited for this debate. I think we'll get some real contentious issues debated on.
I agree with Tom.
I agree.
Thank you. I'd like to start by asking you what experience you have for this role, maybe starting with Ellie.
So I'm only a second year, but I'm a very experienced second year. URY, I've been part of the committee before. I currently am not, but I have been also part of my college netball committee. And through both these roles, I've learned leadership skills. I know what the key parts of university life is, which for me is the societies, and that's part of my policy.
Why aren't you running for activities officer then, Ellie?
Because I think I want to do more than that. I want to do more than just activities. I also want to promote consent across the university. And I think I'd be better in a leadership role rather than being in a leadership role, working with all the different full-time officers rather than picking a specific one.
Tom, your experience?
What?
Your background experience that makes you suitable for this
my
role.
background experience. Well, you don't get a nickname like Tom V-Bar Arnold for nothing. V-Bar has been like essentially the centre of my university experience. I run the weekly pub quiz there. That's on at 8:30 every Friday. We may start a bit late.
How many people come to that quiz, Tom?
Oh, a
regularly?
good like 30, 40?
30. Tom, do you know how many students there are at the university?
A lot.
Do you think that's a comparable level of experience, running a quiz to running a students' union?
Well, you did cut me off, so I have plenty more experience. I also run termly events in V-Bar as well. We get a good 100 or so. Like last year when Westival was on, I ran a counter event called Cheaper Than Westival, and we were so successful compared to Westival that we ended up having to use their door safe for us. So that does illustrate that I am very relevant on campus. I know what the students want, perhaps more than 4 colleges and the Ministry of Sound combined.
Jeb, what about your experience?
I agree with Tom.
And have you had any executive roles?
No.
No. What makes you suitable then for this?
Absolutely nothing. That's why I'm perfect. It's in the manifesto. Or something. It's in somewhere. I definitely wrote it at some point.
It's in the manifesto.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Jed, Charlie, and yourself.
Yes, I also agree with Tom.
And any further elaboration on that, onto why you would should have the task of leading this union?
Yes, I have really strong policies regarding loads of the important stuff that other people have mentioned, which I have been designing since reading their manifestos, which isn't plagiarism, if it sounds like that might be plagiarism.
Some would say that's inspiration.
I agree with Tom.
In a word, what is the biggest challenge facing students today?
Ninjas.
Ninjas?
I would say the pressures induced by modern life, the stress.
If you could narrow that down to one word.
Oh, pain.
Pain. Jed?
Or suffering. Can I change my answer, please? Suffering.
Smash mouth.
Smash mouth.
That's 2 words.
Hyphenated.
I agree
It's
with
one
Tom.
word.
So, I mean, there are a lot of genuine issues being contested here in this election. Things like mental health, student fees, high cost of housing. Do you not see any of those as more important than what you've said?
Well, you
Well,
said
that's
we said that to be one word. I've got many words I can talk about mental health. Like, mental health for me is a very strong issue, but
I agree with Tom.
I can't really sum it up in one.
I don't disagree with Tom.
In one word. Like, just the sheer high numbers of people who are experiencing mental health issues on campus. Like, figures directly taken from, like, I think it was the York think tank. And like nearly 60% felt that they had a mental health problem, and 37% of those surveyed felt that the university does not do a good job in dealing with that.
Tom is correct.
I agree with Tom.
I agree with Tom.
Those figures just are too high.
What is your process? Go on then. Okay, so we've established, you've all agreed that mental health is an issue.
Yes.
What would you do to deal with it? And I'm going to start with Jed.
I'd host something in V-Bar Saturday at 8:30, week 9, and I'd play some cheesy songs, because that cheers me up, and I would know I've been quite sad in my time.
Is it just a matter of cheering up people who have mental health issues?
I think that would be too simplistic. I think the main...
Can I direct that, Jed?
Somebody once told me the world is going to roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Thank you very much. Ellie, your mental sort of a policy for dealing with mental health.
I agree with Tom. It's too simplistic to just cheer people up. I think it's something that university has to be more aware of and has to have more people and places to have more people that people can see and have more places and events for people to go to in order to help those who feel like they're suffering from mental health.
And Charlie, what would you do to combat this issue?
What was that issue?
The issue of mental health, Charlie.
Yeah, the issue of mental health is an extremely serious issue, and I'm sure Tom has said something already, which I would agree with.
Okay, then. Moving on then to another quite prominent issue, the issue of fees. Now, we've seen in recent the TEF fight against the TEF and what that entails with raising those fees extra. How far do you think the YUSU Pres can actually help combat a rise in fees? Is it beyond their control? Starting with Ellie.
I don't know.
You don't know. Do you not think you should know while running for this position?
Yes, but I don't.
Why have you not made that research?
Because I think Tom knows the answer to the question. Don't you, Tom?
But you might be elected, Ellie.
I can ask Tom.
You ask Tom.
Yeah.
Go on then, Tom. What would be your answer if you were running this Ellie's presidential career for her?
Well, regarding to fees, I think it's a two-way thing. I think presidential candidates need to promise less in their manifestos. I don't think reducing fees is really within their remit, mostly because we're the president of the student union, not the university, and I don't think the student union really has that much of a say in the fees in total. I would say also that people have to have less expectations of the president. I think it's been built up year after year after year of having unrealistic claims, and I think we need to get back to basics then. I'm not going to say get back to basics, but we need to get back to basics, really. We need to have just real student issues. Fees are a thing, and we can protest them, but I think as a president by myself, I do not have enough impact. We would have to come together with other presidents of other student unions, and then we'd have a bigger voice. But in terms of one man or woman, or non-binary, or those other things, it's too much for one person to do.
That was amazing. Let's all hold hands.
Inspirational.
Thank you. Would either of Jed or Charlie like to add in anything on fees and whether a YUSU Pres can change those fees?
I agree with Tom. I think he pretty much nailed it there. There isn't, as a president, there is not an awful lot you can do. You know, you don't really have that much power.
Jed, do you mind telling me a bit about your policy on buses?
Someone want to get my manifesto up for me? What's my policy on
I
buses?
think you just said there'd be music on the buses.
Something like that.
I think you also said they'd be more reliable.
Wow.
How do you think you'd make them more reliable?
I'd get self-driving buses. Get a nice thing with Google going on there.
Do you think that's... You said... You just agreed that lowering fees isn't in the remit of YUSU Pres. Can making buses self-driving, is that within your remit?
Ooh, I don't know. I'd have to be there to find out, I guess. Sometimes the drivers are a bit abusive, apparently, but not all the time.
Okay, would you like to change that?
Yeah, I guess non-abusive drivers would be a good thing. I think we can all agree that abuse is a bad thing. Don't think that's a very much...
One of them gave me a lollipop once for behaving well, but not in a weird way. Like, it was nice. It was the whole band was there, and it was a normal thing that just happened.
Okay, but so you're satisfied with the bus service?
Oh no, it's it's not appalling. I mean, it's been bad because obviously my course is on the other campus, and it can be really crap. We have to swear.
No.
Bad. Negative experience was experienced by me on a few times. I've lost my train of thought there. But usually sometimes they wait for you when you're running, and
Sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they don't, which is absolutely heartbreaking. The waits can be long. But basically, I would agree with whatever Tom would have said.
Is HESI... Oh, go on. Well, that's an interesting tone you picked up there. You obviously feel HESI students are a bit cut off from the rest
Oh,
of
I
the
didn't
uni.
say that. I mean, it's weird over there. It's quiet and windy.
It's just windy. It's just really
terribly-
cold.
So windy. I
You
went down there
can't
on
wear
my
a crop
bike and-
top.
Well, I'm
in
a
Hes
student
East.
that does live on Hes East and study on Hes East, and I must say that it can feel cut off at times. I think one fairly easy way of doing that would be to make the buses more reliable. I often am at the Constantine bus stop, and I can see at the sports village where the bus is, and I can see the timetable of when they're supposed to set off, and they don't match a lot of the time. And I feel like this is something that could be fairly easily solved. And even especially when the bus is literally right there and it should be leaving, but it isn't. This is something that the student union president could do, even if I'm not elected or someone else could be elected. Please do that, because it would help me a lot and it'd stop me being late.
I saw 3 buses next to each other the other day.
Yeah, they do.
466.
Like the buses like to
It's mad, and that was
huddle
coming off
together,
of Hes
don't they?
East.
Hmm.
You know, you're thinking, why don't one of you wait?
So we're seeing some consensus here on improving bus reliability. Obviously, that's been a goal for presidential candidates, for years. It's always been an issue with the student population. Ellie, what makes you think you could be the person to make that breakthrough and to really provide a really high quality bus service for the university?
Again, I don't really see why it's been so difficult to sort out in the past. They've tried to alter the bus route in order to make it easier for people. And I haven't actually got the bus recently, so I don't know if that's working or not. But it's just timings and making sure you don't get a backlog of 3 buses in a row, making sure that when on the board it says the bus is about to arrive and then the bus vanishes and it never turns up, making sure that doesn't happen. And that's just all organisation, and I don't really understand why it hasn't happened already. So I think it's just a matter of speaking to the company, getting them to get their act together.
Okay, thank you very much. If I could ask you for one thing you think Millie Beach has done wrong in her time as UC president, starting with Jed.
Too much Snapchat.
Too much. Do you care to elaborate on that? From her personal account or from a USU affiliated account?
I don't mean Snapchat. Too much sort of like just posting on social media. Sorry, I didn't mean Snapchat. Just like, hey, I'm going to a meeting. Woo.
Is it not important to let students know that have that transparency?
I guess. I don't really know, mate. All I care about is beer.
Thank you. Charlie,
Yeah.
what... same question.
Right, what was the question?
What one thing has Millie Beach done wrong,
how you
or
spelling
you
beach?
could have improved on in this past year?
Right, basically, I think it is mean to say nasty things about other people and won't do it. So stop trying to... bitch about Millie Beach.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we apologise for that
Sorry,
use of that word. Ellie, what do you think Millie has done wrong? She is listening, I'm told. So, Charlie, I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. I actually saw a tweet earlier from her, so looking out for you, bud.
I haven't seen her that much around campus, but otherwise I don't think she's done anything wrong. The reason I probably haven't seen her around campus is probably because she's working very hard in the office. But yeah.
Okay, Tom?
I find it hard to criticise Millie Beach as a UC president. I did serve under her when she was college chair. We did clash a few times, but at the end of the day, she did a good job at that, and she's doing a good job at this. UC president is a figurehead for the society. It's someone that people can look up to, and someone that people can believe in, and I think Millie Beach does that. So I wouldn't really want to criticise her because I'd feel it'd be a little bit forced.
Now
I agree with Tom.
Now, Tom,
I agree with Tom
we've
as
had
well.
a question directed at you from Alex Lusty on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
He says, if the bus issue was so easy to sort, wouldn't it have already been done?
Well, I'm not in power, so I don't know. But in my opinion...
But if you make the claim that it was easy to sort,
I think there is a certain part of it which is easy to sort and could be done instantaneously. Because it's like I say, at my bus stop, I can see the bus and I know from my little app from their company when the bus is supposed to leave, but it don't leave. So I would get them to leave according to the app. So I'd encourage first group buses, or whatever they're called technically, to get their drivers to get the app and to see when their bus is due to leave and then leave at that time. A lot of the time they're good, but sometimes when it's really crucial, they are terrible.
That's a strong thing to say. I agree with him.
Well, I'd like
correct.
to like a final question as we run out of time. Do you disagree with Tom?
I don't disagree with Tom. I agree with Tom.
Occasionally.
Anyone else?
I agree with Tom.
Thank you for joining us.